Level 1. The recruitment. You weren't miserable in a dramatic way. That's what made it worse. Nothing catastrophic ever happened to you. Your life just slowly became smaller every year. Every morning looked the same. Wake up. Stare at the ceiling for 20 minutes. Phone at 3%. Cold room. Random hoodie on the floor. Half-open blinds letting in that ugly gray morning light that makes everything look dead. Your apartment smelled vaguely like instant noodles and dust. You kept telling yourself, I'll figure things out eventually. But eventually never arrived. You tried being normal. Seriously. You worked at a grocery store once. First week was fine. Second week, your manager pulled you aside because customers kept complaining that you looked intimidating. You weren't even doing anything. Just standing there. Apparently, maintaining eye contact for too long makes people uncomfortable. Who knew? You tried forcing small talk with coworkers. One guy asked, "What music do you listen to?" Your brain completely froze. Not because you didn't know, because suddenly you became hyper-aware that normal people answer questions instantly while you analyze them like an FBI interrogation. You ended up saying, mostly whatever fits the environment. The silence afterward physically damaged the room. You stopped talking after that. The job ended 3 months later after they restructured staffing, which was corporate language for, you scare customers a little. After that came office work. Open office, white lights, cheap coffee smell, keyboards clicking nonstop like mechanical insects. Every day felt identical. People around you talked constantly. Vacations, relationships, office drama, football, crypto, diets. Meanwhile, you sat there silently noticing things. Not intentionally. You just couldn't stop. You noticed one security camera near the entrance had a blind spot near the elevator. You noticed the night janitor always left the supply room unlocked around 8:17 p.m. You noticed one employee typed his password visibly every single morning without realizing. You noticed the manager lied differently depending on who he spoke to. Tiny things. Patterns. Systems. You thought everybody observed this stuff. But one day, your coworker caught you staring at the ceiling camera during lunch and asked, "Why do you always look at exits?" That question stayed in your head for weeks. Because you didn't have an answer. You just always did. Eventually, the office job collapsed too. Not because you failed, because you stopped pretending you cared. Your boss once gave a 15-minute speech about company values, and halfway through you started calculating how long it would take to leave the building unnoticed through the emergency stairwell. That's when you realized something might actually be wrong with you. Then came unemployment. The weird phase. Days stopped feeling real. You'd stay awake until 4 a.m. watching random videos while the room glowed blue from your monitor. Outside, cars passed occasionally on wet streets. Sometimes you'd hear neighbors laughing through the walls and feel this strange, disconnected feeling, like everybody else received instructions for life that you missed completely. You started walking at night because it was quieter. Less people, less noise. One night, you stopped at a gas station around 2:13 a.m. cold air. Buzzing fluorescent lights. Coffee machine making that burnt smell. You grabbed microwave noodles and an energy drink because apparently your body had become a landfill. The cashier looked half dead. You paid. Sat outside. Ate silently while cars moved through the rain nearby. Then someone sat across from you. You didn't hear him approach. That bothered you immediately. Dark coat, gloves, perfect posture, calm face. The kind of person who looked expensive without showing logos. He placed a small paper cup of coffee on the table and said your full name without introducing himself first. Your stomach dropped instantly. He started talking casually about your life. Old schools, previous jobs, places you'd lived, even tiny details nobody should know. You were suspended at 16 for accessing the school security system. Your entire body went cold. You never told anybody that story. Ever. He watched your reaction carefully, not smiling, not threatening, just observing. Then he asked something strange. When you enter a room, what's the first thing you notice? You answered automatically before thinking. Entrances, cameras, people facing away from me. Anything unusual. He nodded slowly, like he'd just confirmed something important. Then he said the sentence that ruined your normal life forever. You notice systems, not people. Silence. Rain hitting the pavement nearby. Distant traffic. Your cheap noodles getting cold beside you. And for the first time in years, somebody was looking at you like you actually made sense. Level 2. The facility. 3 days later, you wake up inside a room that doesn't feel real. Gray walls, perfectly made bed. No windows, no decorations, no personality. The air smells sterile, like a hospital designed by people who hate emotions. For a few seconds, you genuinely think you got kidnapped. Then you notice the black suit hanging neatly near the door, beside a small key card with one word printed on it. Candidate. That word feels worse than employee. Somewhere in the distance you hear shoes echoing through metal hallways. Rhythmic, controlled. You shower, get dressed, follow the hallway markings because there's literally nothing else to do. The facility is massive. Concrete corridors, frosted glass, security doors opening automatically before you even reach them. Nobody smiles. Nobody talks unless necessary. Every person there moves with weird purpose, like they already know something you don't. In the cafeteria, recruits sit silently eating breakfast under bright white lights. Some look military. Others look like ex-criminals. One guy has bruised knuckles and dead eyes like he's already killed someone before. Another girl disassembles her fork absent-mindedly while staring into space. Nobody asks names. You realize this place doesn't care who you used to be. During orientation, an instructor walks in. Tall, bald, emotionally terrifying. He explains the ICA in the same tone someone would use explaining airport luggage rules. Calm, precise, detached. You are here because conventional society had no place for your particular skill set. That sentence hits harder than it should. They test observation first, not combat. You enter a staged apartment for 10 seconds. Then they pull you out and ask questions. How many exits? Which drawer was unlocked? What hand was the target using? You answer almost all of them correctly without realizing. The instructor notices. That's the first time you feel proud there. Training starts immediately after. It's humiliating. You thought stealth meant crouching dramatically behind boxes. Apparently, stealth actually means patience, timing, restraint. Your first simulation goes horribly. You panic after getting spotted and accidentally knock out the wrong target with a fire extinguisher. Then you forget to hide the body. Alarm lights flood the training room red while instructors silently take notes behind observation glass. Nobody yells at you. Somehow, that's worse. One trainer walks over afterward and says, "You move like you're afraid of the environment. The environment should be afraid of you." Bro thinks he's in a trailer, but somehow it works. Days blur together after that. Hand-to-hand drills, lockpicking, surveillance exercises, firearms training. You discover suppressors are still loud indoors. You discover dragging bodies upstairs is exhausting. You discover most people stop thinking clearly once panic starts. Every lesson slowly changes how you see the world. Cameras stop looking like electronics. They become cones of vision. Crowds become cover. Clothing becomes access. One night after training, you pass a mirror in the hallway and pause for a second because you barely recognize yourself anymore. Same face, same eyes. But something feels quieter inside your head. Less chaotic. Like the ICA didn't recruit you to become something new. They recruited you because you already were. Level 3. The first real mission. The first time they tell you it's a real mission, you almost laugh because surely they're joking. Training was one thing. Fake guards, actors, simulations. Carefully controlled environments where somebody would stop you before things became irreversible. But this time, there's no observation room behind the glass, no instructor correcting your posture, no reset button. Just a file placed neatly in front of you inside a dim briefing room, a photograph, a name, a location, an actual human being. The handler explains the contract calmly while a projector hums quietly behind her. You barely hear half of it because your brain keeps getting stuck on one sentence. The target must be eliminated. Not neutralized, not stopped, eliminated, permanent, final. You nod like you understand what's happening, even though your stomach feels hollow. The flight there feels surreal. People around you are completely normal. Families arguing quietly. Someone watching movies without headphones. A kid kicking the back of your seat repeatedly. Meanwhile, you're sitting there with forged documents in your pocket, preparing to end somebody's life before sunset. Nobody around you has any idea. That realization changes something in your brain permanently. The mission takes place in a luxury hotel. Massive marble lobby. Expensive perfume floating through the air. Piano music somewhere in the background. Rich people walking around like the world physically cannot hurt them. You stand near the entrance for almost 30 seconds, pretending to check your phone while actually panicking internally. Your handler's voice speaks calmly through the earpiece. Blend in. Easier said than done when you feel like every security guard on Earth can somehow smell fear. You enter slowly. Don't make eye contact. Don't walk too fast. Don't look lost. Immediately, you start noticing everything automatically. Cameras above elevators, security near stairwells, staff entrances, keycard doors, the target's bodyguards. You aren't even trying anymore. Your brain just scans environments constantly now. The target is a businessman staying in the penthouse suite. Corrupt, dangerous, apparently responsible for multiple disappearances. The ICA always gives enough information to make you stop feeling guilty. You still feel guilty anyway. At first, the mission completely falls apart. You follow a hotel employee into a maintenance hallway trying to steal his disguise, but the second you choke him unconscious, you realize two horrible things simultaneously. 1. Real people make disturbing noises when they lose consciousness. 2. Hiding bodies in real life is much harder than the simulations. Your hands shake while dragging him into a laundry container. Every tiny sound feels deafening. Footsteps nearby make your heart stop completely. You spend 5 full minutes hiding in a storage closet because a janitor walked past too slowly. Eventually, you get upstairs wearing the stolen uniform. Nobody questions you. That part genuinely terrifies you. Security guards glance at you for maybe half a second before looking away. Rich guests completely ignore you now that you're dressed like staff. It suddenly hits you how invisible workers become in places like this. The target is inside a private lounge, surrounded by glass walls and armed security. You wait nearby, pretending to clean tables while listening to conversations through the earpiece. Your handler tells you to be patient. Patience feels impossible. Every second stretches forever. Then an opportunity appears accidentally. One bodyguard leaves to answer a phone call. Another gets distracted arguing with hotel management. The target walks alone toward the balcony, carrying a drink. Your handler says quietly, "This is your moment." Your body moves before your brain catches up. You follow him outside. Cool night air. City lights below. Music muffled through the glass behind you. For 1 second, you just stand there frozen. The target turns slightly annoyed. "Can I help you?" You don't answer because, honestly, what do you even say in that situation? Then instinct takes over. Fast movement, hands on shoulders, sudden violence. The target disappears over the railing before either of you fully processes what happened. Silence. Just distant traffic far below. Your breathing becomes unbelievably loud. Your entire body feels numb. You expected adrenaline. Instead, you feel empty. Your handler speaks calmly again. "Leave the area." Right. Escape. Somehow, you forgot that part entirely. The next 10 minutes are chaos inside your own head. Every security guard suddenly feels suspicious. Every person looking in your direction feels dangerous. You're convinced everybody knows. But nobody does. That's the terrifying part. Guests continue drinking wine. Hotel staff continue working. Somewhere downstairs, people are probably just now discovering the body while you calmly walk through the lobby, pretending to check messages on your phone. Outside, cold air hits your face again. Cars move through the streets normally. The world didn't stop. Lightning didn't strike. Nobody screamed your name dramatically. The city just kept moving like nothing happened. On the flight home, you stare out the window most of the time. Clouds below, darkness everywhere else. You keep replaying the balcony moment in your head, trying to decide whether you feel horrified or accomplished. The worst part is realizing it felt natural, frighteningly fast. Level 4. Learning Control. After your first mission, something changes permanently. Not in a cool, cinematic way, more quietly than that. You start noticing how differently you move through public spaces now. Grocery stores, train stations, restaurants. Your brain automatically maps exits without thinking. You sit facing doors instinctively. You notice security patterns before menus. Crowded rooms stop feeling social and start feeling tactical. The ICA notices your progress too. More assignments start coming. Small ones at first. Corporate theft, surveillance, elimination contracts disguised as accidents. They don't trust you fully yet, but they're watching carefully. Every mission becomes less about violence and more about control. That's the first major lesson. Bad assassins kill people. Good assassins control environments. One assignment changes everything for you. The target is a politician attending a private charity event inside a mansion. Heavy security. Wealthy guests everywhere. Cameras covering almost every hallway. Old, you would have panicked immediately. New, you just observes quietly from across the street in the rain while people arrive in expensive cars. You notice catering staff entering through a side entrance. You notice one guard smoking alone every 7 minutes near the kitchen exit. You notice generators powering outdoor lighting. Tiny things. Patterns again, systems again. You spend nearly an hour doing nothing except watching. That's another thing the ICA changed about you. Normal people get impatient. You became comfortable waiting. Eventually, the opportunity appears. The smoking guard leaves briefly to help another employee unload supplies. 30-second window, that's all you need. You slip through the side entrance wearing black gloves and carrying absolutely nothing unnecessary. No giant weapons. No ridiculous gadgets. Just tools. Calm movements. The mansion smells like expensive food and old money. Classical music echoes softly through the halls while rich people laugh about meaningless things upstairs. You blend into the kitchen staff almost immediately after taking a disguise from an unconscious waiter hidden inside a freezer room. Again, nobody notices. It's honestly insulting how little attention humans pay to each other. You spend the next 20 minutes manipulating the entire building like a puzzle. Overflow a sink to distract staff. Disable one camera system temporarily. Move a tray intentionally to block a guard's route. Tiny actions causing chain reactions. You aren't improvising anymore. You're engineering outcomes. The target eventually enters a private office upstairs to take a phone call alone. Exactly where you wanted him. Exactly when you wanted him there. That realization feels genuinely unsettling. You didn't force anything directly. You just nudged events carefully until the world arranged itself for you. Inside the office, the politician barely looks up when you enter carrying a fake drink tray. That arrogance kills him more than anything else. Powerful people stop seeing workers as human beings. To him, you're furniture. Invisible. Safe. You place the drink near him calmly while he keeps arguing into his phone about money laundering accusations. Then you notice something strange. Your hands aren't shaking anymore. Not even slightly. That should bother you more than it does. The kill itself is clean, quick, controlled. Fiber wire from behind. Silent struggle lasting only seconds. His body goes limp almost peacefully. You lower him carefully onto the carpet to avoid noise. Professional, efficient, cold. For a second, you just stand there staring at the body, realizing this would have destroyed you emotionally a few months ago. Now, your main concern is exit strategy. That thought sits heavily in your chest while alarms suddenly start downstairs. Not because of you. A drunk guest accidentally triggered a fire alarm in the kitchen. Pure coincidence. But instead of panicking, you adapt instantly. Emergency evacuation begins. Guards redirect attention. Guests flood toward exits in confusion. And you simply walk out with them carrying an empty serving tray while security rushes in the opposite direction. Rain falls outside again. Funny how it always rains during important moments in your life now. You stop beneath a streetlight, watching emergency vehicles arrive at the mansion behind you. Somewhere inside that building, people are about to discover a dead politician while you disappear quietly into the city, like you were never there at all. And for the first time since joining the ICA, you finally understand what they saw in you from the beginning. Level 5, the separation. At some point, the ICA stops feeling temporary. That realization hits you randomly one morning while tying your tie in the mirror before a mission. Not during combat, not during some dramatic speech, just quietly. You stare at your reflection for a second too long and realize you can't even imagine going back to normal life anymore. The old apartment feels fake in your memory now. The grocery store job, the office, the awkward conversations. All of it feels like footage from somebody else's life. The ICA changed your schedule first, then your habits, then your thinking. Now it's changing you. Your next contract takes place overseas inside a private biotech company hosting a conference for investors. Massive glass building, ultra-modern architecture. Rich people pretending they're saving humanity while quietly poisoning it for profit. Standard elite behavior, basically. The target is the company founder. Publicly, he's a genius entrepreneur. Privately, he's been testing experimental treatments on people in countries nobody pays attention to. The briefing includes photographs that stay in your head longer than expected. Children in hospital beds. Burn scars. Failed experiments. You notice the ICA does this intentionally now. They want emotional distance from the act itself. Easier to eliminate someone once your brain categorizes them as a problem instead of a person. You arrive the night before the conference and spend hours studying the building from a nearby cafe. Rain taps softly against the windows, while executives inside laugh over expensive dinners, completely unaware someone outside is already planning routes through their security system. You notice delivery entrances, shift changes, maintenance workers. One security guard checks his phone constantly near the west entrance. Another cuts through camera blind spots during patrols because he's lazy. Human error exists everywhere. That's the biggest thing the ICA taught you. Systems are only as strong as the people inside them. The mission starts at sunrise. Fog hanging between skyscrapers. Cold wind pushing through the streets. You enter disguised as catering staff after intercepting a food delivery van 3 blocks away. The driver never even sees your face properly, before waking up zip-tied inside his own vehicle an hour later, confused beyond comprehension. Inside the conference, everything moves fast. Employees rushing around stressed. Investors networking aggressively. Screens glowing with fake optimism and corporate buzzwords. You blend into it perfectly now. That's the scary part. Nobody remembers your face. Nobody questions your presence. You've learned the exact posture workers have when they don't want attention. Slightly lowered eyes. Calm movement. Purposeful walking. Invisible. The target spends most of the morning surrounded by executives and armed security. Impossible to approach directly. Old you would have waited for a miracle opportunity. New you creates opportunities instead. You poison a security guard's coffee, knowing it'll pull medical staff into the hallway at exactly the right moment. You trigger a minor electrical issue 2 floors down, forcing half the building's technicians away from their stations. You anonymously leak false information to one executive's phone, causing a private argument inside the target's office. Tiny manipulations. Tiny pushes. The entire building slowly rearranges itself around your actions without realizing. By afternoon, the target finally isolates himself inside a secure laboratory suite to calm down after multiple disruptions. Exactly what you wanted. You enter wearing a technician disguise, carrying a tablet you don't even understand because confidence matters more than knowledge half the time. The target barely glances at you while ranting angrily about investors. His arrogance practically removes security for you. Powerful people stop seeing workers as human beings after a certain level of wealth. You move calmly through the lab pretending to inspect equipment, while quietly sabotaging the oxygen controls near the sealed testing chamber. Smooth movements, no hesitation. Your heart barely even changes pace anymore. That realization honestly scares you more than the mission itself. The kill happens indirectly, the best kind. An equipment malfunction. Oxygen imbalance. Emergency lockdown sealing the chamber automatically while alarms begin flashing red across the lab. The target pounds against reinforced glass screaming for help, while scientists panic outside unable to override the system in time. And you just stand there among them pretending to be another frightened technician. Watching. Waiting. Listening to the chaos. Nobody looks at you twice. That's when you understand something horrifying about yourself. You aren't just becoming good at killing people. You're becoming good at staying emotionally distant from it. The target collapses inside the chamber, while emergency crews arrive too late. Around you, people panic realistically. Some genuinely horrified. Some crying. Some already thinking about stock prices. Human beings are weird during disasters. You leave during the evacuation alongside hundreds of employees flooding into the streets below. Sirens echo between buildings. News helicopters beginning to circle overhead already. And while everyone else stares upward in shock, you catch yourself thinking only about efficiency. Clean execution, minimal evidence, predictable response times. Your brain no longer reacts to death normally. It analyzes it. That thought follows you all the way home. Level 6. The realization. You stop sleeping normally after a while. Not because of guilt, exactly. More because your brain never fully powers down anymore. Even resting feels alert now. Every unfamiliar sound wakes you instantly. Every hotel room gets checked automatically the second you enter. Closets, windows, exit routes. Habits burned into your nervous system permanently. The ICA keeps giving you harder contracts because you keep succeeding. No emotional incidents, no sloppy mistakes, no unnecessary violence. You're becoming reliable. Reliable is dangerous in this line of work because once people trust your efficiency, they start asking you to do worse things. This mission is different immediately. Political, sensitive, the kind where even the briefing room atmosphere feels colder. The target is a former intelligence officer hiding inside a luxury resort in the mountains. Officially retired. Unofficially selling classified information to multiple governments simultaneously. The ICA wants him removed quietly before international agencies realize he's compromised. Translation: if this goes wrong, everybody involved disappears. You arrive at the resort during winter. Snow everywhere. Pine trees covered in frost. Expensive wooden architecture trying very hard to look peaceful, despite being full of rich psychopaths. The air smells clean in a way cities never do. Beautiful place to die, honestly. The target rarely leaves his private suite. Former intelligence means paranoia. Rotating bodyguards. Secure communications. Private surveillance. Every entrance monitored. Normal infiltration impossible, which excites you more than it should. That's the problem now. Missions stopped feeling stressful. They started feeling interesting. You spend 2 days observing before acting. 2 full days doing almost nothing except watching patterns through binoculars from a nearby cabin rented under a fake identity. Snow falls softly outside while you sit motionless for hours, studying guard rotations like a predator learning prey behavior. And somewhere during that second night, it finally hits you. You enjoy this. Not the killing specifically. The control, the strategy, the precision, the feeling of understanding a system so completely that you can dismantle it invisibly. That realization unsettles you deeply for about 10 minutes. Then, the mission continues. You discover the target secretly meets an informant each evening inside the resort spa, after security patrols shift positions. Hidden entrance. Minimal guards. Probably thought nobody noticed the routine. But routines are what you do best. The infiltration is almost disturbingly smooth now. You move through employee corridors silently, while resort staff continue working inches away, completely unaware. Maintenance disguise. Tool belt. Relaxed posture. You don't even consciously think about acting anymore. You become whatever environment requires automatically. Inside the spa, warm air fogs the windows, while soft music plays overhead. Rich guests relax nearby, completely oblivious to the fact an assassination is unfolding 20 feet away from them. The target enters a private sauna room alone, expecting his informant. Instead, he finds you already waiting inside, seated calmly in the steam. For the first time in your career, the target recognizes what you are immediately. Former intelligence instincts, probably. His face changes instantly. Not confusion, recognition, fear. "Who sent you?" he asks quietly. You don't answer because honestly there's no point. He tries negotiating anyway. They always do eventually. Money, information, deals, promises. Human beings think survival is persuasive. But you crossed too many lines already to pretend there's still morality involved here. The struggle inside the sauna is short and brutal. Steam, slippery floor, desperate violence. Then silence again. Just your breathing and faint music through the walls outside. You stare at the body longer than usual afterward. Not because you feel guilty, because you don't. That's what finally scares you. Old, you would have been horrified, standing over a dead man in a luxury sauna, while strangers relaxed peacefully outside. Current you is mostly thinking about exit timing. Somewhere along the process, your emotional reactions got replaced with procedure. You clean the scene carefully. Adjust details. Remove evidence. Calm movements. Professional. By the time security discovers the body nearly 40 minutes later, you're already sitting in the back seat of a black car, driving through snowy mountain roads while local news stations begin reporting a medical emergency at the resort. The handler congratulates you through the earpiece. Efficient work. Minimal complications. Standard ICA praise. You barely respond. Outside the car window, snow continues falling under streetlights while you sit silently realizing something important. The ICA didn't create a monster out of you. They simply found the version of you that fit their world perfectly. Level 7. The Legend. By now, your existence barely feels human anymore. You don't really live anywhere. You just rotate through hotels, safe houses, airports, fake identities, and temporary apartments with furniture that nobody actually uses. Every room looks staged. Every passport has a different name. Sometimes you wake up and genuinely need a few seconds to remember which country you're in. The ICA loves this stage of an assassin's career. No attachments, no routines, no distractions, just efficiency. You stopped keeping personal items months ago because personal items become weaknesses eventually. No photographs, no social media, no old contacts. You once stared at your phone for almost 10 minutes, considering whether to text someone from your old life, before realizing you literally had nothing normal left to say anymore. The contracts become bigger after that. Not just corrupt executives anymore. Ministers, arms dealers, intelligence brokers, people protected by governments, people whose deaths create headlines. The ICA trusts you completely now because you've become exactly what they wanted. Invisible, professional, emotionally detached. Your reputation starts spreading quietly through places normal people never see. Encrypted forums, intelligence circles, private security networks. Nobody knows your face. Nobody knows your real name. But people start referring to you like some kind of urban legend. A ghost, a myth, an impossible operative. One leaked security recording shows a man entering a restricted area moments before a diplomat mysteriously dies from poisoning. Another investigation finds camera footage corrupted exactly 30 seconds before an explosion kills a cartel financier. Multiple agencies begin comparing incidents quietly. Different countries, different methods, same precision, same absence. You become the kind of story nervous bodyguards tell each other late at night. You stopped questioning morality entirely, somewhere around Mission 23. Now, your brain treats assassination like architecture. Problems, angles, systems, outcomes. One mission in particular changes your status permanently. A private summit in Prague, massive security operation, intelligence services everywhere, facial recognition systems, military contractors, armed checkpoints every 30 meters. The target is one of the most protected men in Europe. The ICA tells you directly, failure is acceptable, exposure is not. You spend 6 days preparing. 6 days studying blueprints, routines, schedules, air circulation systems, maintenance access points, staff movements, even garbage collection timings. You stop sleeping properly during preparation phases now. Your mind just keeps running simulations constantly. The summit takes place inside a heavily secured government building overlooking the city. Snipers on rooftops, surveillance drones, bomb-resistant windows, thousands of civilians nearby. The kind of environment designed specifically to prevent someone like you. You infiltrate through catering services because workers become invisible inside wealthy environments. Inside the summit, everything feels tense. Politicians smiling artificially. Security personnel pretending not to profile everyone constantly. Expensive watches everywhere. Fake laughter bouncing through marble halls. You move through it silently carrying champagne while secretly redirecting the entire flow of the building piece by piece. A delayed elevator here. A distracted bodyguard there. Tiny manipulations stacking together invisibly. Nobody notices the system bending around you until it's too late. The target eventually enters a private conference room alone for exactly 4 minutes between meetings. 4 minutes you created yourself. You don't wait for opportunities anymore. You manufacture them. The kill is silent, fast, controlled. A poisoned glass prepared hours earlier through 3 separate layers of manipulation. The target collapses during a live conference 30 minutes later in front of diplomats, journalists, and armed security, while you calmly walk out through the front entrance wearing a server uniform. Panic erupts behind you. Sirens, shouting, security lockdowns. But by then, you're already blending into crowds outside beneath cold evening rain, while emergency vehicles flood the streets. News channels across Europe explode within hours. Analysts speculate terrorism, intelligence failure, foreign interference. Nobody even considers the possibility that one man walked directly through every layer of security unnoticed. That's when you realize you've become exactly what the ICA wanted from the beginning. Not a soldier, not a spy. A ghost moving through systems so perfectly that reality itself barely notices you were ever there. Level 8. The end. After Prague, everything changes quietly, not publicly. The world still doesn't know who you are. News stations continue using phrases like unknown circumstances and ongoing investigations. Governments deny involvement. Intelligence agencies blame each other behind closed doors. The public moves on after a few weeks, like it always does. But inside the world you actually belong to now, people start treating you differently. Handlers become more careful around you. Conversations grow shorter, more controlled. Missions arrive through isolated channels instead of direct contact. Even within the ICA, your name begins carrying weight. That should have felt rewarding. Instead, it feels isolating. You spend more time alone than ever. Airports blur together. Hotel rooms become interchangeable. Entire weeks disappear inside transit lounges and briefing rooms. Sometimes you catch your reflection in dark windows and barely recognize the person staring back anymore. The face looks calmer now, colder, more distant. Like every normal emotional reaction was sanded down slowly over time. The missions continue anyway. A financier in Singapore, an oligarch in Moscow, a weapons broker in Casablanca. Different countries, different methods, same outcome every time. Clean entry, controlled execution, silent exit, perfect professionalism. That's what the ICA calls it. But eventually, you start noticing small things that don't fit. A surveillance van parked twice near different safe houses. An unknown number calling once and hanging up immediately. A man at an airport terminal lowering his newspaper too slowly after making eye contact with you. Tiny things, patterns, systems. The same instincts that built your career begin warning you that something is wrong. You request clarification from the ICA. The responses come back unusually vague. Coincidence. Unrelated. Remain focused on the contract. That's when the paranoia starts becoming real, because paranoia only sounds irrational until somebody actually is watching you. One night in Berlin, you wake up at 3:11 a.m. without knowing why. Complete darkness inside the apartment. Rain outside. Silence. Then you hear it. Floorboards shifting slightly in the hallway beyond the bedroom. Not loud. Careful. Professional. Your body reacts before your mind fully wakes up. Hand under pillow. Suppressed pistol already aimed toward the doorway before your eyes fully adjust. Silence again. Then movement. Fast. A shadow crossing the hallway. 2 suppressed shots punch through the wall beside your bed instantly. Dry mechanical impacts. You roll sideways onto the floor while glass explodes above you. Another assassin. Has to be. Nobody else moves like that. The apartment erupts into controlled chaos, muffled gunfire, footsteps, shadows moving through darkness. You fire twice toward the hallway and hear someone collapse hard against furniture outside. But there's another one. Of course, there's another one. The ICA never sends single operatives for jobs like this. You move through the apartment almost automatically now. Years of training taking over completely. Low posture, controlled breathing, angles, timing. You barely feel fear anymore. Just calculation. One attacker appears briefly near the kitchen doorway, wearing dark, tactical gear with no markings. You shoot first. He drops instantly, but the second body never appears. That's what worries you. Professionals don't rush. Professionals wait. Then you hear it. Soft movement behind you. Too late. A suppressed round tears through your side like fire. Your entire body slams against the wall as pain detonates through your ribs. You fire blindly backward while stumbling into the bathroom and locking the door. Silence returns immediately afterward except for your breathing. Wet. Uneven. Blood spreads rapidly through your shirt while rain taps softly against the windows outside. You sit there on the cold tile floor, realizing the truth finally. The ICA isn't cleaning up loose ends because you failed. They're eliminating you because you succeeded too well. You became too visible inside invisible worlds, too effective, too dangerous. Eventually, every organization fears the people it cannot fully control. Footsteps approach slowly outside the bathroom now. Calm. Patient. You try standing, but your legs barely respond properly anymore. Blood loss making everything distant. Heavy. You glance at yourself in the mirror above the sink. Pale face, empty eyes. Suit covered in dark red spreading wider by the second. For the first time in years, you look human again. Not a ghost, not a legend. Just a tired man who spent too long turning himself into a weapon. The assassin outside stops near the door. Neither of you speaks. No dramatic speeches. No final monologues. People in this world already understand how stories like this end. You check the magazine in your pistol one last time. 2 rounds left. Funny. After hundreds of perfectly planned operations, your life ends inside a cheap Berlin apartment at 4 in the morning, while rain hits broken windows outside. The door handle moves slowly. You raise the pistol despite your shaking arm. The lock finally breaks. Movement floods through the doorway. Gunfire erupts one final time. Then everything goes quiet. Completely quiet. Outside, the city keeps moving like nothing happened. Cars pass through wet streets. Neon signs flicker in puddles. Somewhere nearby, people laugh outside a bar without realizing one of the most dangerous assassins alive just disappeared forever inside an apartment nobody will remember tomorrow morning.